Hi folks, this is Tom Darshalek with C's a Day Chair Massage Services. Just want to give you a few pointers on how to work on the forearms when the customer is asking us to focus more on their forearms. We have recently acquired a customer whose employees do a lot of sewing, and they want us, in the context of massages scheduled in increments of 20 minutes, to spend quite a bit of time on their forearms. So we probably would do an abbreviated shoulder, work the arm, put a lot more work into time into the forearms, and do an abbreviated neck, abbreviated scalp, and either the whole grand finale or even an abbreviated grand finale. We do want to do somewhat of a grand finale because they are going back to work, and once again, this employer really wants more than this being a reward. He wants this to really add to the productivity and performance of his work staff. So here we go. I'm going to pretend that I've already done the customer's shoulders, and I'm going to, if you don't see this when I work on her left side, you'll see it when I work on the right. So the first thing we're going to do is the squeezing of the petrissage to both right and left side of the forearm twice, 5 points, and then we'll do the old palm faces anteriorly, and we'll do the thumb squeezing down the radius, 5 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course 5 is on the anatomical snuff box, and it's thumb on top of thumb in between the bones, 3, 4, 5, and repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's the pushing the flesh off the radius, off the ulna, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just distal to the head of the ulna, and repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then of course we'll squeeze the wrist twice, we'll go to the front of the chair, we'll do the dragon mouth traction twice, and we'll spread the metacarpals, palm faces the floor, spread the metacarpals twice, and rub in between the outside metacarpals, and squeeze thumb and pinky, and jiggle, and squeeze thumb and pinky, and jiggle again, and squeeze thumb and pinky, and then it's rubbing between the inside metacarpals, and squeeze thumb, index, and pinky ring, and jiggle, and squeeze thumb, index, and pinky ring, and jiggle again, and squeeze thumb, index, and pinky ring. We'll do the great eliminator point twice, palm up, elbow medial. So far I haven't done anything new. We're going to be doing thumbing down the ulna, 4 and 5, just distal to the head of the ulna. Repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, in between the bones, thumb on top of thumb, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the capitate bone, and repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the radius, starting at the middle of the crease, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just distal to the head of the radius, and repeat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now comes the extra stuff. I have no idea what type of repetitive use problems these people are having. However, here's all the places you could touch on the forearm. If they have symptoms similar to, they may or may not have these symptoms, you could do more of a shotgun approach where you touch everything, but you could start with, if they have something similar to tennis elbow, you could start where the flexor is attached to just above the epicondyle, the lateral epicondyle of the forearm, or you could do cross fiber frictioning right where the pivot joint of the, is it the radius? The radius attaches at the elbow, or you could just do good old cross fiber frictioning down all of the erectors, not erectors, extensors of the forearm. How are you doing?
Good.
Okay, good. So you can do this. They should really appreciate this cross fiber frictioning stuff to the extensors of the forearm. Another option, maybe they're not having much fun on the attachments of their flexors, so you could do cross fiber frictioning starting at the medial epicondyle and working down the flexors of the forearm. Once again, doing cross fiber frictioning with the intent of trying to break up any adhesions they may have developed as a result of repetitive use. Okay, there's also the pronator, which is responsible for this movement. It attaches from the epicondyle to kind of right in the middle of the radius, and you could target that and work over it. It's probably at its most intense sensitivity right here where it attaches to the radius. And once again, it's responsible for pronation. So you could target that. Also, there's the supinator, which grabs a hold of the radius and brings the palm up. You could target that as well with some cross fiber friction. Okay. On either side of the wrist, you've got two tendons on medial, two tendons lateral. You could cross fiber friction. You also have one ligament on either side of the wrist that is good to friction. So it can't hurt to do any frictioning on the sides of the wrist. Once again, you've got two tendons on both sides of the wrist, and you've got a ligament. Can't go wrong frictioning there. Also, the radius has a ligament coming off of it on the dorsal surface. Can't hurt to friction that as well. Palm up, you could do frictioning on, there's two ligaments that come off of the capitate bone. You could friction those. And lastly, there is the triangular muscle. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it. That is responsible for help. Actually, it's not last. It's the last thing I do, but that's for pronating the thumb, and it is attached right there. That is a good place to work. It also attaches to this middle metacarpal, so you could do some frictioning there as well. Once again, right where it attaches at that joint of the thumb. And then there's also, spread your fingers for me, is why you can't see it here very well, but they have the two tendons that create the anatomical sump box. Relax for me, please. And you could do some cross fiber frictioning over those tendons as well. And once you've thoroughly done all that you can target for the forearm, you can go right back into the Caesar Cauda, which would be the spreading of the metacarpals. Palm up and then rub between the outside metacarpals, squeeze pinky and thumb and jiggle. Squeeze pinky and thumb and jiggle again. Squeeze pinky and thumb. And then it's rubbing between the inside metacarpals and squeeze pinky ring and index fingers and jiggle. And squeeze pinky ring and index fingers and jiggle again. And squeeze pinky ring and index fingers, and then it's pressure, of course, to the thin R eminence, and then turn sideways, and it's the coin rubs, sides, ting point, sandwich, wind up, snap, and the index finger. And sides, ting point, wind up, snap, and the middle finger, rub, 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 sides, rub, rub, and the ting point, wind up, snap, and the ring finger, rub, 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 sides, rub, rub, and the ting point, the wind up, snap, and the pinky, rub, 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 sides, rub, rub, and the ting point, wind up, snap, and then it's, we'll do the stretch, where we take out all the slack, 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, and wave to the audience. I just realized I started on the right arm. Normally we start on the left, which I will now do. Pretending we've done the shoulder, and we've done biceps, tricep squeeze, which we'll do twice. And now, hopefully you can see this on the left side. We'll squeeze petrissage 5 points down the forearm twice. And then it's the thumb squeeze to the radius, 2, 3, 4, and 5 at the anatomical snuff box, and repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Thumb on top of thumb in between the bones, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the wrist, and repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ulna, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just distal to the head of the ulna, and repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then working on the left hand, we'll squeeze their left wrist twice, come to the front of the chair, and it's the dragon mouth traction. Twice. Palm down, spread the metacarpals twice. Rub them between the outside metacarpals and squeeze pinky and thumb. And jiggle. And squeeze pinky and thumb. And jiggle again. And squeeze pinky and thumb. Rub them between the inside metacarpals. Squeeze pinky ring and thumb index fingers and jiggle. And squeeze the pinky ring and thumb index fingers and jiggle again. And squeeze the pinky ring, thumb, index fingers. Pressure to the great eliminator point twice. Palm up, elbow medial. Begin thumbing down the ulna. 2, 3, 4, 5. Just distal to the ulna. And repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just distal to the head of the ulna. Thumb on top of thumb, in between the bones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is on the capitate bone, and repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it's the radius. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we would target shotgun approach. Will target everything on the forearm. The insertion of the extensors on just above the epicondyle, the lateral epicondyle. We can do cross-fiber frictioning right where the pivot joint of the radius is connected to the epicondyle. You can also do cross-fiber frictioning, of course, all up and down the extensors of the forearm. Cannot imagine why they would not appreciate that. If they have symptoms, something like, let's say, golfer's elbow, then you would start on the medial epicondyle and work on all of their flexors. There is the pronator, which you could target by intent. You also probably will feel it attached to the radius, kind of right in the middle of the length of the radius. You could friction over that. You can also friction over the supinator, which wraps around the radius and makes the palm face up. You could friction over that. Next is the wrist. You could friction, like I say, there's 2 tendons on either side of the wrist, 4 total. You could friction to one on top. There's a ligament on each side you could friction. Sometimes people really have some problem right there. I forget the name of that bone that a tendon attaches to. And then, of course, there's the radius. The radius is rather wide here. There's a ligament that comes off of that you could friction. Turn the palm up. There's ligaments coming off of the capitate bone that you could friction. And then, of course, the triangular muscle that attaches at the thumb joint right here. You could also friction where that triangle attaches to the middle metacarpal. Okay, and then there's the tendons that attach to the thumb. They might also appreciate the friction. Okay, and then from there we'd go right into the spreading of the metacarpals, rubbing between the outside metacarpals, squeeze thumb and pinky, jiggle. Squeeze thumb and pinky, jiggle again. And squeeze thumb and pinky. Rub between the inside metacarpals. Rub index, squeeze index finger, pinky ring, jiggle. Squeeze index finger, pinky ring, jiggle again. Squeeze index finger, pinky ring, and it's pressure to the thin R eminence. You could do deep effleurage of each metacarpal before you do the coin rubs. 10-point wind up snap. Here's a deep intense effleurage, and then the coin rubs. 10-point wind up snap. Repeat another deep intense effleurage, coin rubs, sides, 10-point wind up snap, and the ring finger, metacarpal, and then the coin rubs, 10-point wind up snap, and the pinky. Oops, let's do the deep intense effleurage first, followed by coin rubs. Now these are just all ideas that I've used throughout the years. If you have any other techniques you use for the forearm and hand, by all means use them. And of course we'll end up with the stretch of the entire arm. Take out all the slack and wave to the audience. And from here we would go to the abbreviated neck, abbreviated scalp, and either the whole grand finale or an abbreviated version, realizing they are going back to work and they need to be relaxed, yes, but alert and revitalized. Thank you very much.